Today we are going to discuss about the poultry part 2, in which we will be learning about growers and layers. Owing to the past history, poultry industry in India is 5,000-year old. There is no clear evidence regarding the time when the first chicken was captured and domesticated. An early written record is found in a Chinese encyclopedia compiled from ancient documents, and it reveals the fact that fowls are creatures of the West. Archaeological survey indicate that fowls were domesticated in China as early as 1400 BC. In India, references to the existence of poultry farming is traced in Ardhashastra of Kautilya during the Mauryan Empire in 300 BC. The seals and toys bearing the pictures of fowls were excavated from Mohenjo-daro, indicating the people of Indus Valley were known for domestication. Till the beginning of 19th century, the fowls were maintained mainly for game of cock fighting and sacrificing to worship god and goddesses. It was in the early 19th century the chickens were raised for their fancy appearance, attractive body, significant contribution in improving the socio-economic condition of rural masses. In India, poultry industry has made tremendous progress during the last 3 decades, with evolved and backyard ventures to a full-fledged commercial agro-industrial business. Now, India is the third largest producer of eggs and eighth largest producer of broilers in the world. The industry contributes 7,500 crore rupees to the gross national product of the country. The industry employs 2.5 million people, mostly in the rural areas. In India, the growth of poultry industry has been quite uneven from state to state. Moreover, there is a wide variation in the production and consumption patterns of various states. The four states, Andhra Pradesh, Maharashtra, Punjab, and Tamil Nadu, jointly account for more than 50% of the total output of eggs and broilers in the country. But in the case of broilers production, the state of Tamil Nadu, Andhra Pradesh, Karnataka, Kerala, and western regions of Maharashtra account for more than 60% of the total production in the country. Currently, in India, most of the broiler farming units are operating under the system of market integration. Moreover, layer industry in the country has been functioning under unorganized sectors. Recent positive development of poultry industry, the production and consumption in the domestic market is stated to be growing. In India, poultry industry has been a major contribution to the food processing sector in the country. From backyard activity to major commercial operations, the poultry sector has undergone a paradigm growth. And also the major outputs of poultry industries are egg, meat and byproducts. Poultry industry produce more protein in the form of egg and meat compared with other animals. Egg is highly nutritious and palatable food. It is an excellent source of animal protein containing all the essential amino acids. Consumption of a egg a day will contribute to appropriately one-tenth of the recommended daily amount of protein, fat, iron, phosphorus, and vitamin A in an adult's diet. The edible portion of egg are albumin, which contain 88% of water, 10.5% protein, 1% carbohydrates, half of which is glucose, and 0.5% minerals. Yolk contain 49% of water, 32% fat, 16% protein, 1% carbohydrate, and 1% minerals. Now coming to our part, growers and layer management. What are growers? Growers are period after brooding till sexual maturity. It is referred to as growing period. Management during the period is highly critical. Performance of laying birds depends upon the how well the pullets are reared during the growing period. Now the contents are introduction, grower management, layer management. Fowls can be classified into three types depending upon their utility. First one, egg type or laying birds. Second one, dual purpose birds. Third, table or meat type. Egg type, the breed that lays big size eggs are not heavy in the body weight are called egg type or laying birds. Example, leghorns, Minorca are egg type or laying birds. Dual purpose, the breed that lay more eggs and heavy in body weight are called dual purpose breeds. They are ideal breeds for small farmers. Third one, table or meat type. The breeds that lay eggs and are heavy in body weight are called table or meat type breeds. They are mainly reared for meat production. Example, Brahma, Cochin, Chittaga. Growers, period after brooding till sexual maturity, referred to as growing period, that is 9 to 18 weeks. And from the onset of sexual maturity, when the hen housed production is 5%, till the end of laying cycle is referred to as laying period, that is 18 to 72. Growing period is 9 to 18 weeks and laying period is 18 to 72 weeks. Grower management. Commercially 9 to 18 or 20 weeks are called growers. This period is more critical. Obtaining desired body weight ensures maximum production during subsequent laying period. The management may lead to under or overweight, lack of uniform growth, delayed maturity, prolapse, cannibalism, and high growers' house mortality. So if the management delays in any way, it leads to the poor production and the output will be very less, not up to the expectations. What are the requirements for the growers? For floor space or feeder space, water space, perch space, nest space. Depending upon the age, 8 to 12 weeks, the floor space is 1.5 square feet. Feeder space is 2.5 square feet. Water space is 3 by 4. And 12 to 16 weeks, floor space is 2 square feet. Feeder space is 3. Water space is 1 square feet. From 16 weeks onwards, floor space is 2 square feet, feeder space 4 square feet, water space 1 square feet, perch space 6 square feet, nest space 2 into 2 into 6 feet for every 50 birds. The spacing is also very important management factor. Without spacing, there will be the birds will be affected by many diseases and low quality production. And the feed that is being given to growers, CP 16% and total 2500 kilocalories food should be given with the calcium 1%. Approximately 60 to 80 grams of feed per bird per day is being given. Adopt restricted feeding program is very essential during the growing period. Overfeeding is also bad and less feeding is also bad. That affects on the grower development, and also the ultimately it results on the production and economy during growing period to prevent fattening of pullets and early sexual maturity and thus to improve egg production. Some management tips to be followed. Uniformity. Restricted feed is of two types. Quantitative feed. And what are the advantages of restricted feed during the growth period and qualitative feed? What is uniformity? Aim for the uniformity of the fork. Sample weights are taken once in a week to find out the average body weight as per the breeder suggestion. At a given age, growing pullets should have average body weight very close to breeder recommendations and at least 70% of birds weight within 10% of flock average. This has to be scrupulously followed. Restricted feed. What is restricted feed? It is adopted during growing period of layers or breeders. It is of two types, quantitative and qualitative feed restriction. Quantitative feed restriction. Qualitative feed restriction in which the amount of feed is reduced below the normal requirements of the bird. This can be done on day-to-day basis or skip a day program or skip 2 days in a week program. But restriction depends on the matching of the fork average body weight with the standard body weight provided by the breeder. Quantitative feed restriction is usually followed in commercial breeders. Advantages of feed restriction during the growing period. A considerable saving of feed cost because only 80% of calculated feed requirement will be offered. They are likely to consume less feed per dozen eggs even during laying period when they are offered abundant feed. The pullet accumulates less fat, therefore produces more eggs. It is easier to identify weak birds at an early age during the feeding restriction, and this is known as culling. What is culling? Culling is the procedure of picking out the unproductive and poor producers. This process is very important to run the farm on profitable basis. The following characters should be considered between good and poor layers. Quantitative, qualitative feed restriction, in which the quality of feed is reduced below the standards of the bird. This can be done by including unconventional feeds or lesser nutrient feed ingredients in place of high protein or high energy diet. Here the quantity of allotment to the birds is not restricted. During restricted feeding program provides more number of feeders and see that all the birds are taking feed simultaneously, or otherwise dominant birds will take more amount of food and the weaker will be subjected to feed very less. Hence the uniformity will be affected. That is the reason uniformity has to be maintained and culling has to be practiced. Culling of birds helps not only saving feed but also promoting layer house survivability because heal their birds will be moving to laying house. Layers feed restricted during growing period have been found to produce eggs in longer clutches than those feed ad libitum. Lightning management. Lightning management is very important during the growing period. Only 12 hours of lightning program is sufficient in case of open side house. Open side house, no artificial light is needed. And the recommendations: debaking, medication and vaccination. Proper cleaning and disinfection of grower house is needed before introducing the birds. Growers may be reared in separate grower houses or continue to be reared in brooder cum grower house. Growers may be reared in separate grower houses or continue to be reared in brooder cum grower house. Spread litter material to a height of 4 feet in case of deep litter system should be practiced. Arrange feeders and waterers in the grower house. Change the feeders and waterers according to the need. Provide sufficient floor space, feeding space and water space. Floor space should be 1.4 feet square. In case of cages, 54 square inches. Feeder space 6 to 8 centimeters per bird.